Things are awkward inside the walls of Stewart-Haas Racing. I think it says a lot about the team's likely future. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. We've got a great show in store for you today. Dale Earnhardt Jr. news, some teammate drama, power rankings. But first, we have to talk about today's sponsor. Prolube Oil specializes in high-performing oil additives, greases, and lubricants that are made to outlast and outperform traditional lubricants using their very own friction-reducing technology. With Prolube, a little goes a long way. Get the most out of your vehicles and equipment, save money on gas and oil changes, prevent premature wear and tear, reduce equipment downtime, and increase productivity so you can get back to business. Shop Prolube's extreme lubricants at prolubeoil.com. You can also click the link down in the description below, and be sure to use code GROOVE, G-R-O-O-V-E, for 20% off your order. Be sure to check them out, take advantage of that deal. Huge thank you to Prolube for sponsoring this episode of Out of the Groove. Let's start things off with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Today, both Amazon and TNT Sports confirmed that Dale Jr. will join their respective broadcast booths in 2025. Remember, beginning next year, Fox will broadcast the first 12 points-paying races, as well as the All-Star race and the Clash. Then Amazon Prime will get the next 5 Cup Series races. Dale Jr. will be part of that broadcast booth, with TNT and Max getting the next 5 races. Dale Jr. will be a part of those broadcasts as well. NBC has the rights for the final 14 Cup Series races, so 12, 5, 5, 14. I think that adds up to 36. This has been reported on for quite some time, but now Dale Jr.'s move is confirmed. He won't be with NBC the second half of this season. That will take some getting used to. We also know Lee Diffie will be replacing Rick Allen on Sundays at some point later this year. There's going to be a lot of adjustments here in the fall. But looking ahead to next season, Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be in the booth for the 5 Amazon races and the 5 TNT Max races. If I may make one request, I need Alan Bestwick in a broadcast booth once again, calling NASCAR Cup Series races. Make it happen. Amazon, I know you guys got deep pockets, and TNT, y'all are about to lose the NBA, right? Most likely. How about take that extra money and throw it at Alan Bestwick? Get him over there, whatever it takes. I need it. Bestwick, Earnhardt, commanding a NASCAR broadcast booth. Oh, that would be perfect hashtag content. Let's make it happen. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about some drama inside the walls of Stewart-Haas Racing. This all started Saturday at Kansas Speedway just after Cup Series qualifying, when reporter Toby Christie posted this thread. He said, Noah Gragson said on Tuesday that he, Chase Briscoe, and Josh Berry have started studying data and techniques in order to improve their speed. Gragson says the offer is up for anyone who wants to join the study session. The 3 Stewart-Haas drivers in the study group will all start from 17th or better, with 2 of them making it to the final round of qualifying. Ryan Preece, the one not part of the study group, will start 32nd on Sunday at Kansas. Very, very interesting. And what's more interesting is apparently this post, that thread, was the first Ryan Preece had ever heard about his teammates' little secret study group. Preece responded publicly saying, "Study group that I wasn't aware of," shrugging emoji. Ugh, that is awkward. There's a SpongeBob meme for every situation, I swear. The timing of this was super interesting as well, because this all was posted Saturday afternoon after I'd spoken to Chase Briscoe in the media center. Briscoe told me that all the Stewart-Haas drivers were collaborating better than they ever have.
As far as the Cup side goes, this is by far the most the teams have ever gotten along. You know, the drivers, all work together really, really well. Just the camaraderie in the building, and it's just been way different. And I think a lot of that is just all of us are relatively young and inexperienced, and we're all at the shop a lot more than probably what it was when there was a lot of other guys there. Just we're at different points of our career where we're all kind of hungry and not as busy as what a Harvick or somebody like that would be, so it makes it a little easier for us to all be at the race shop. But I know from a driver standpoint, from a teammate side of things, this is the best I've ever had.
I guess he meant to say everyone but Ryan Preece is working well together. Man, super, super awkward. Now, that all went down on Saturday. Yesterday, Monday, Ryan Preece was on SiriusXM NASCAR radio and said that he will now be a part of these secret Stewart-Haas study sessions.
I'm a driver that's actually at Stewart-Haas Racing pretty much every day of the week, and I was there at 7 a.m. today. So I had no idea that they or whoever was starting those. And obviously I found that out when I saw that tweet. So I was a little frustrated at the time because I feel like I'm always trying to outwork everybody in all aspects. So, needless to say, I found out they're Tuesdays after our meeting, and I'll be there tomorrow.
I mean, I guess I'm happy they hopefully worked it all out, but that has to be an awkward first meeting, right? Hey, welcome, Ryan. Sorry about last week. I guess your invitation must have got lost in the mail. Maybe we didn't have the right address. I literally work in the same building as you, but okay. See what I mean? It's a little weird, a little awkward. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. I don't think I am. I do feel for him because he's a talented race car driver, and as he said in that Sirius clip, I think he's a hard worker. He is trying to outwork his competition. It's what he's done for much of his career. It's what's worked for him. That's what's gotten him to the NASCAR Cup Series. Why stop now? It's a great habit he's developed. Keep it going. I feel bad for Ryan Preece because with all the rumors swirling, it certainly seems like he's the odd man out. Like at year's end, when Stewart-Haas inevitably sells at least one of their charters, Ryan Preece will get the boot. It's just process of elimination. Preece does not have full sponsorship on that car, while Chase Briscoe is currently holding on to a playoff spot, has good support from Mahindra, High Point. Josh Berry has the blessing of Rodney Childers, also seems to have a different sponsor on the car every week. Overstock jumped on this year. Same with Noah Gragson. He's got 3 straight top 10 finishes, might be the best of the Stewart-Haas stable, and he too has had a different sponsor on that car every single week. It just feels like Preece is the odd man out. Think about what happened at Dover. He was pissed. Some avoidable mistake ruined their race before it ever got started. He did not need that last place finish, but he got it because of a simple oversight back at the Stewart-Haas shop, it sounds like. I think Preece is getting the short end of the stick. He doesn't deserve it, but it's just the tough nature of this business. Just yesterday, Bob Pockrass of Fox reported that Stewart-Haas has sent out information on what it would take to purchase one of their charters out to potential buyers. This backs up previous reports that Stewart-Haas is open to selling up to 2 of their 4 charters, which means this team will likely downsize next year. It just feels like Ryan Preece is unfortunately the odd man out. Speaking of that Bob Pockrass report, he mentions Trackhouse, 2311, Legacy Motor Club as the most interested potential buyers. He also mentions Front Row Motorsports. Finally, someone else mentions Front Row. I've been talking about them for a couple weeks now. I've heard some rumors, some rumblings that Front Row could expand to a 3-car team. There's also an interesting rumor out there this week that Front Row and Stewart-Haas could merge somehow. Like maybe Gene Haas sells his half of Stewart-Haas, or maybe Tony Stewart cashes out, sells his half, and the remaining half fuses with Front Row to form a new 4-car Ford team. I don't know if that's legit, but I have heard some rumors, some rumblings that connect Cole Custer to a Front Row Motorsports seat. So maybe that could have something to do with this new rumor. There's rumors everywhere. I'm just glad to hear someone else saying Front Row, because when I heard about Front Row Motorsports potentially buying a charter a few weeks or a couple months ago, I wasn't so sure at first. It was something I was keeping an eye on, but this latest report from Bob Pockrass now has me believing what I'd previously heard. Who knows what's going to happen to Michael McDowell or Todd Gilliland? I think the team really likes Todd, and Todd has shown some flashes this year and last year. Michael McDowell, meanwhile, I think there are a number of teams that would be interested in his services, so maybe the 34 seat opens up, and that could be a place for Custer or someone else. I don't know. Something to keep an eye on for sure, but a silly season is circling Stewart-Haas Racing right now. I'm not sure exactly what to believe. I am confident now, though, that Ryan Preece is 4th string on that team. If they downsize, he'll be the first to go. I think you can book it. The real question is what happens to Chase Briscoe, Josh Berry, Noah Gragson. Chase Briscoe's more of a Ford driver, so if Stewart-Haas were to split from Ford, Briscoe may need a new ride. But if Stewart-Haas stays with Ford, I'm sure they'd like to keep Briscoe. If they've sold 2 of their charters, they'd have to pick likely between Berry or Gragson. Who would you pick? Who brings the most sponsorship? Gragson right now is showing the most potential, the highest ceiling. My head hurts. Leave a comment down below. So many possible paths at this point. What do you think is most likely? Trying to make sense of silly season in the early stages especially is a struggle. It's much easier to make sense of my weekly power rankings, where I rank the top 10 fastest overall drivers and cars in the NASCAR Cup Series right now. Let's get to it. Before we get started, I've got a few honorable mentions. Noah Gragson, 3 straight top 10 finishes. He's got a lot of ground to make up if he's going to point his way into the playoffs. Tough to overcome that 35-point penalty. Christopher Bell, after 3 or 4 just terrible weekends, he qualified first, finished 6th. Good stuff from Bell. Ty Gibbs, he's still top 10 in points, but only has 1 top 10 finish in his last 6 races. That's not great. And Ross Chastain, he led laps, looked pretty good at Kansas, but he has 0 top 10 finishes his last 6 races, so he's out of the top 10. Let's start with my actual number 10. Welcome back, Kyle Busch. He's been dynamite on Saturdays. He's qualified 5th, 1st, and 4th the last 3 weeks. He's got 3 top 10s the last 4 races. The execution is still a little iffy sometimes. At Dover, the team did not get that car full of fuel. They got bailed out by a caution. Then at Kansas, Kyle Busch spins out with 5 laps to go, but was able to recover thanks to a dynamic final restart. We got a glimpse of prime, scary Kyle Busch during that overtime restart. KFB is still in there. Sometimes you just have to look a little closer. Need to clean some of the mistakes up, but I like the recent results. Kyle Busch at number 10. Maybe this is an overreaction, but I'm going to move Chris Buescher into the 9 spot. I just feel like he needs a hug after what went down Sunday night. Buescher had a really strong March with a bunch of top 10 finishes, cooled off in April, 2nd to begin the month of May, also won a stage. Keep in mind, this is now 3 straight 2nd place finishes for RFK. Brad Keselowski the previous 2 weeks. Maybe this team is starting to figure things out. Chris Buescher at number 9. In the number 8 spot, I've got Ryan Blaney. He is still the only Ford consistently leading laps, but recently at least he has not been consistently getting good finishes. Only 1 top 10 finish the last 4 races. I know he got wrecked at Texas, but Talladega, one of his best tracks, he was a no-show, finished 20th. I don't really trust Ford, and I really don't trust Team Penske right now. Shoot, Joey Logano, a 2-time champion, is 18 points outside of the playoffs right now. Not to mention Penske's got all that IndyCar drama going on. I don't know, the vibes are just off. The vibes are off. Blaney at 8. It was close between Blaney and Alex Bowman, but hey, I'll give Bowman the 7 spot. He's got 3 straight top 10 finishes, 6 top 10s the past 8 races, and he got crashed early at Texas. We never really saw what he had there. May have been a contender. The 48 does not have blazing fast speed, but it is consistent speed. The big bad number that stands out to me is only 6 laps led all season long. I can trust Bowman to run 5th to 10th every single week, but I don't expect him to win. Winning is still weeks away, in my opinion. I'll put Tyler Reddick in the 6th spot this week. He was really fast in practice on Saturday, led me to believe he'd be one of the favorites on Sunday, but he was a non-factor most of the day. The most recent Kansas Speedway winner finished 20th. And only earned a few stage points. I know he got to the wall here and there a few times during the race. That may have impacted the handling. Maybe the car was just bad. Shoot, his teammate Bubba Wallace didn't fare much better. Overall, it was a disappointing weekend for 2311 Racing, but Tyler Reddick is still 5th in points and tied for the most top 10s in the series this year with 7. In the number 5 spot this week, I have Chase Elliott. Another strong top 5, finished 3rd. He's been so darn consistent. Only Kyle Larson has more top 5s than Chase Elliott so far this season. And I mentioned consistency. Through the first 12 races this year, Chase Elliott's worst finish is 19th. That's why he's top 5 in the regular season standings and top 5 in my power rankings. Dropping to number 4 this week, and this might be a season low for this guy, William Byron. Been a rough couple of weeks for Byron. I know he got caught up in a crash at Dover, but Kansas this weekend was weird. He was really fast in practice, but hit the wall during qualifying, started 36th, but then drove his way up to around 12th, 13th place in the opening stage, but then plateaued. I don't think he ever broke into the top 10 once. Another week where William Byron earns 0 stage points. He still has 0 stage wins for the year. He's got those 3 race wins for sure, but he does not seem to be as consistently quick as Kyle Larson, and I might even argue Chase Elliott at this point. William Byron has dropped now to 7th in the regular season standings. I've got him 4th in my power rankings. I think that's fair. Moving up one spot into the 3-hole this week is Martin Truex Jr. I mentioned Chase Elliott being consistent. Truex is the same way. His worst finish all year is 18th. His average finish is 8.9. Whew, he's been top 2 in the regular season standings for 9 consecutive weeks. A win is coming. It could have been Richmond, but a late race caution, pit cycle, restart, he lost that one. It could have been Kansas. If this race stays green, Truex was charging hard. I don't know what Hamlin had left in the tank. Chris Gabehart thought he was going to run out of gas if they'd stayed green, so Truex easily could have won Kansas if Busch doesn't spin out. Every single week, Truex is top 3, top 4, maybe top 5. He's not always the fastest car, but odds are eventually one of these races will break his favor. He will get that win. He's 2nd in the regular season standings. Truex, I think he's 3rd on the power rankings. I think that's a well-deserved spot. No change in the top 2 spots for me this week. I've still got Denny Hamlin at 2, led the most laps at Kansas, won a stage, finished top 5. On his podcast this week, Hamlin sort of second-guessed his lane choice there for that overtime restart. That's where he lost. Larson got the jump, split him 3 wide, and Hamlin was hosed. Hamlin has those 3 wins, so again, despite being, I think, 4th in the regular season standings, if the playoffs began today, he would be the 2 seed. Hamlin at 2, which means Kyle Larson once again is at number 1. When I put Larson in the 1 spot 2 or 3 weeks ago, a lot of y'all called me out, said, whoa, Larson? What about William Byron? Safe to say I have been 100% accurate the past few weeks. Kyle Larson wins another race, 2nd of the year, adds a bunch more stage points, pads his regular season points lead. Kyle Larson is clearly the guy to beat every single week in the NASCAR Cup Series. That's my top 10. Feel pretty good about it. Again, like 8th through 13th or 14th, real close. A lot of honorable mentions this week. Anyone could break into my top 10, it seems, any given week. But there you go. That's who I've settled on for my post-Kansas power rankings. Can't wait for Darlington this weekend. The track too tough to tame could separate some of these drivers a bit. I'm excited for that one, but let me know down in the comments below if you agree, disagree. Love to see the comments on this video every single week. But that is going to do it, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We talk NASCAR every single day on Out of the Groove. You can always count on us. And a huge thank you to my very generous Patreon supporters. Throwback week is here. Love seeing all the paint schemes unveiled almost every single day. We'll talk about that more later this week. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday, folks. I will see you again soon.